Hey, what's going on, Brick Speedster here, and today I'm going to be taking a look at some classic horror movie mocks that I made using the recently reviewed horror figures. So let's jump right into it. Taking a look at my first mock here, it's a very simple one, and all I did was basically just make a little tricycle for Billy the Puppet here. Technically, it's not an actual connection. I used sticky tack to keep him on there because the wheels and the way I built it wouldn't allow for a stud to be connected to his legs, but I think that it works pretty well, and it's pretty size accurate too, to what a normal minifigure tricycle would be. A very simple build here, but I think it looks pretty good. Taking a look at my next mock here, this is from Halloween, and it's definitely a simple one, but I really love the way it turned out. It's the scene where Michael is standing behind the bush and then disappears, and as you can see, if you turn, he does have his knife at the ready to kill. He's just attached by two jumper plates just so he doesn't move around and fall over. The bush, I used a pretty interesting technique that I came up with. A lot of snot going on. If we take it apart here, you can see kind of how this was built. Basically, very symmetrical, but two of these attached to some 1x1 headlight bricks with studs on all sides. A little flimsy, but it's supposed to be a model piece, so, it's not going to be falling off if it's displayed. And as you can see, I used some sand green pieces for the bush and dark green for the grass, and I think the greens really capture a more realistic look compared to the classic green or something like that. And then in the front, we have a jack-o'-lantern, just to give it the Halloween appearance. I wanted to build a black border around this, but the pieces, I didn't really have all the pieces that I wanted, so I just stuck with a gray, and I think it still looks like a nice little diorama. Now, for my favorite horror movie here, I wanted to go a little bit bigger than the Halloween mock, and I definitely think that this one turned out great. Here, I wanted to capture the iconic horror intro to Scream, where Casey is being chased around by Ghostface and eventually killed along with her boyfriend. Here on the inside, I wanted to capture kind of like the movie racks or like bookshelves she has in that room, and I basically just did some snot techniques, building sideways, and attaching it to a headlight brick here on the end. This model is supposed to be displayed basically the way it is right now, facing forward, so you look through the sliding door to see outside onto the patio. So obviously you can display it any way you like, but this way captures the scene really well, I think. Here we have a TV. Again, I'm using a lot of snot in this mock to capture kind of the longer screen instead of tall, if I were to use the window frame piece vertically. And if we move on to the back now, you can see I have the pool, which can be seen in the background of this scene. It's not exactly properly spaced from the patio door, but I didn't want this thing to get too big. Oops, Ghostface. I had an extra piece on his foot right there that came up. But if you look at the floor, you could see I kind of went for a gravelly, design here, using a lot of circle pieces, studs, and circle tiles. I think it came out pretty nicely, alternating between gray and light gray. It looks like a pretty natural patio design. Instead of using the darker green like I did for the Halloween mock, I went with the normal green, and I think that it works pretty well against these sand green leaves. We see some skinnier ones in the back and more built-up ones in the front, just to give it kind of a little bit of perspective looking back through the window. And then here we have Casey's boyfriend tied up to the chair where he will soon be slaughtered. I kind of just threw together a simple build using the torso from the Stranger Things set, as well as the face and hair. A simple build, and I think, it just gets the point across. The one thing I do wish I could have focused a little bit more on here were the tree builds, but I didn't want it to get too out of hand. I think looking at it from the front, the trees provide a nice, shading over the top so that you can't directly look in to see what's happening, and you do have to look through the front window. And that's pretty much it. It's definitely not a fully fleshed out Moc, but displaying it head on, it looks really good. That is going to be all for this video today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to hit the like button down below if you did enjoy any of these Mocs. And if you have any ideas for Mocs in the future for you to make, leave them in the comments down below. That's going to be for all this video. See you next one.